Hi there, and welcome to This Explainer. I'm Michelle. Today, we're diving into a topic that is profoundly personal, and let's be honest, it's often the elephant in the room that goes unspoken until the absolute last minute. We're talking about the aging parent conversation. Whether you're an adult child who's maybe noticing some small changes during your Sunday visits, or you're a homeowner over 50 mapping out your own next chapter, this guidance is absolutely for you. So, let's just dive right in. There's a quote that honestly hits the nail on the head. The conversation adult children are afraid to have is almost never as bad as the fear of having it. Right now, there is a quiet, kind of anxious dialogue happening in kitchens all across our communities, from Chicago all the way through the south suburbs. If you are feeling nervous about starting this talk, please hear me when I say this. Your hesitation does not mean you don't care. Actually, it's exactly the opposite. It stems from deep love and a very real fear of upsetting a parent who fiercely values their independence. But here's where we need to look at the reality. Research from My Life site points out a pretty tough truth. Putting off conversations about aging almost always makes them significantly harder when they eventually do happen. It's incredibly common to just sort of push this heavy topic away until a crisis forces our hand. But when we do that, families end up having to make massive, life-altering decisions under immense pressure. And worst of all, without actually knowing what their parents would have wanted. So how do we actually do this? Well, it's kind of amazing, but we can completely shift the dynamic just by tweaking our phrasing. Think about the difference between saying, we need to talk about what happens when you can't manage, versus, I'd love to understand what you're thinking about your next chapter. You feel the difference, right? The first one feels like a verdict. It puts people on the defensive. The second one? That's a warm collaboration. Insights from 60andover.net really remind us that older adults value their independence deeply. Honoring that independence from the very first word is how we prevent conflict. Okay, so how do we open that collaborative door naturally? You absolutely don't need to figure out the whole shebang in a single sitting. Instead, just begin gently with a simple question. What do you want your daily life to look like in 5 years? By looking forward rather than reacting to a present problem, you give your parent their agency back. You're not telling them what to do, you're inviting them to design their own future. Once you've got that dialogue flowing, it's time to gently look at the practical side of things, starting with the house itself. For so many families in our Chicago and South Suburbs communities, the house is the heart of everything. It's beautiful. But let's be totally honest, keeping up with the gutters, the yard work, the stairs, it's just not as easy as it was 20 years ago. Getting a clear picture of what staying in the home actually requires, both physically and financially, is a really crucial piece of the puzzle to figure out early on. All right, moving on to something nobody really loves talking about, paperwork. Are the important documents in order? I know it sounds a bit dry, but getting this sorted is literally an act of love and protection. AARP highlights that missing documents, things like a will, a power of attorney, or a healthcare directive, become a massive source of family stress during an unexpected health crisis. Just knowing where everything is kept, it gives everyone this profound sense of peace. If you're wondering how to practically kick this off without causing friction, try this gentle step-by-step approach. First, choose a calm, completely ordinary moment. Think of relaxed Sunday lunch, definitely not the hospital waiting room. Next, use we language to make it feel like a true partnership. And this third step is absolutely vital. Listen way more than you speak. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is just let them air their fears without rushing in to fix everything. And finally, be patient. You're going to want to revisit this topic gently over time. Eventually, all these conversations tend to circle right back to the family home. It's usually the largest financial asset, and without a doubt, it brings up the most complex emotions in the room. Whether the plan is to age in place, downsize, or transition into a new living community, you aren't just talking about brick and mortar or decades of accumulated stuff. You are navigating deeply cherished family memories. Because the house holds so much emotional weight, bringing in an objective voice can be a real game changer. This is exactly where an SRES, or Senior Real Estate Specialist, comes into the picture. This is a knowledgeable, neutral professional who specifically understands the unique needs of homeowners over 50. Having an SRES involved takes so much of that heavy logistical pressure off the adult children and places it right into the hands of a trusted, patient guide. Now, what happens if you try all of this and your parent just isn't ready to talk? Please know, resistance is perfectly normal. Some people might change the subject. Others might even get a little defensive. And that is completely okay. Your goal for that very first conversation isn't to solve everything. It's simply to leave the door open. If direct questions aren't landing, try a gentle third-party prompt. Maybe mention a relevant article you read or share a story about a friend's family. Patience isn't passive here. It is the most strategic and loving tool you have. I really want to emphasize this. You absolutely do not have to figure this all out on your own. Every family deserves genuine, compassionate support. That's exactly why I've put together some completely free community resources for you, including a resource library and an expert guide on moving your parents. Please consider these a warm, zero-pressure invitation to just explore your options and gather some helpful guidance for whenever your family feels ready to take that next step. As we wrap up our time together today, I want to leave you with a thought to just kind of sit with. How can we start this conversation gently, without any urgency, and with genuine curiosity? Starting this dialogue is never about taking control away. It's an act of profound love. It shows your parents that you care deeply about their whole well-being, not just about managing a future problem. It doesn't close doors, it opens them. So, how will you open that door for your family today? Thank you so much for joining me.